What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be showing you guys a deck profile for my Celestial Being CB deck that I'm currently using. This is version 2.0. If you've seen some of my other duels, I've had a version 1.0 that had a deck list at the end of the video. And I even had a pre-GDO3 deck list as well. But in this video, you're going to see my 2.0 that I have gone 3-1 and 2-1 at my most recent locals. And we're going to be talking about things I'm going to be looking at doing in my version 3.0, specifically certain cards that I want to take out, maybe change the ratios a little bit as well. In this video, we're going to kind of be talking about all the cards that I have in my deck, things that I will be looking into taking out, and things that I've noticed while playing it, why I like certain cards more than others. And on top of that, we might be looking at making a video talking about the archetype specifically. There are some cards that are really nice, but they are very situational, and I think either on their own or you build around them that they're good. If not, they just are just situational or just not good at all. And we might make a video on that. If you guys are interested in seeing that, this is my current main deck currently right now. I do have other decks that I currently play as well, but this is the main one that I'm really focusing on and fine-tuning it. I know Celestial Being has had a lot of hype, and I know some people really do enjoy it and really do like it. So if you are one of those, awesome, you can check out this video, check out this channel, because I'm going to be posting some updates and some more duels with this until I kind of fine tune it enough until we get into possibly GDO4, where we have possible more CBs coming out, which we have now been told that they're going to be dropping a new color for red for CB as well, which I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to be doing with that as well. With that being said, in this video, we're going to be talking about, like I said, my deck profile that I'm currently using right now. Now, in this deck profile, we go over some archetypes as well, but I just want to focus on just the actual deck list itself. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so CBs has been one of my favorites to play around with, and I want to start off by the weenies. You want to use the small ones. Now, I've seen people not use this at all, or I've seen people cut this down. I currently, right now, in version 2.0, I have it at 4 right now. And the reason for that is I need early on something on the board as quick as possible, as early as possible. And it is a CB, obviously, so it's really good to have. If you want to see my other deck lists, you can see some duels. I actually kind of show it like with Wing Zero if you want to try Wing Zero. I think overall that is a good deck. It is fun, but you want to specifically go after the archetype so everything flows a little bit more smoothly. So going back to the deck profile, I have O Gundam. I'm running it at 4. I do like O Gundam. With it being a 2-1, you can use it early on. I like to use this deck and have myself go first versus going second. I think if you cut out the O Gundam, not the O, but the O Gundam, if you cut it out the deck, I think you're going to have to focus on going second all the time. And with a lot of people wanting to go second, it makes it tough for you to do certain things on turn 2. Or technically turn 1 and turn 2 until you get to turn 3. When you're going first, if you happen to be pushing to go first because the other player wants to go second. So I like this for that scenario. I prefer to go first in my specific deck testing. I've been putting myself, as I say, in a disadvantaged position because no one likes to go first. And I've been putting myself in first, and I've been really enjoying going first with this deck specifically. So we have 4 of the O Gundam because it is called the O as in 00, the series. So we have 4 of those. Next we have is 4 of the Gundam Virtues. Now this, if you've seen my other deck list, like with my duels, you'll see that I mostly use the normal Dynamis. But with these, with this deck, I kind of started liking actually running 4 of this blocker. It is very situational in the sense of you just need to have a CB pilot in play. As soon as you have the CB pilot in play, this card is now live to be a blocker. But if it is not a CB pilot in play, it is not a blocker. So keep that in mind when playing with other players. Like I went against a Wing deck that had Shenlong, and this did not have a blocker, so they could not pop this. So keep that in mind when you are using this deck. That could be used in your advantage. That definitely helped me out with one of my Wing decks. I actually almost beat both my Wing decks on my 2-1 locals recently. The last one, he got a base at the end as I hit suppression, and I couldn't finish the last kill. But I noticed that when this version specifically, the blocker is kind of important to have. With this, as a turn 3, your next turn will be most likely Dynamis potentially. With Dynamis on the field, you want to make sure you protect. This also becomes live when you bring that Dynamis and the lock-on straddles. So with that being said, I find that this is very helpful. Even mid to late game, having this can be very helpful as well. Just a way to slow your opponent down, force your opponent to bait an attack, and then use that to your advantage to maybe hit multiple targets. Like if they hit with a 2 and this is out with a pilot, you can then go ahead and block it, hit that with 2, and now any other units they have now have to also hit with a 2. So you can really bait a lot of attacks when it comes to this. I started to like this. I like it at 4. It feels more consistent. I like it myself. I did like having more 3/2s in my deck. Right now, currently, I have those 4, and then I'm also using 1 normal Dynamis. I'm trying to figure out my ratios. The reason why there's even 1 more Dynamis, a normal Dynamis here, is because of early on. I'm going to be showing you guys a video of a locals where I went against a blue-purple deck. Now, blue-purple is not popular around my area. I know I currently have a blue-purple deck, but I haven't played a lot of people who have blue-purple. And so when I saw a person who had blue-purple in my local area, I asked to see if we can play and if you didn't mind recording some duels. And I noticed early on I didn't have a lot of units to bring out on the field, and I only had 1 of these in the deck. So I might be looking to upgrading, adding maybe 1 or 2 more, either this or the normal Axia, because on turn 3 and turn 4, that's when a lot of the aggro decks really either fully win, or they're going for the win, or that is where you can actually slow them down and make good trades. So we might look into changing the deck a little bit and adding maybe another Dynamis specifically here. And I'll talk about some cards that I might be looking into taking out. But Dynamis is there for early on. There are other cards you can add if you wanted to that are level 3. We could go over that, like I said, in a different archetype. I just find that they are very situational, and I don't like it as much as in just having a normal 3/2 stat line when it comes to this. Next, I'm using 2 normal Axias. I want to go up more potentially just because it's a 4/3. This is pretty much like a Roselle. You just have it 1 turn later and it has a link to Setsuna. But this card, I've seen a lot of people take it out of their deck, but this card is actually really, really good. The fact that it's a 4/3, and then if you pair it with Setsuna, that becomes a 6/4, and on attack becomes a 7/4. This card is really, really strong. And when you start to really think about what cards have 7 hit points, there are a lot in the meta right now. You do have Quebly that is 7. You have the Big O that is starting to turn heads as well. That is 7. You have a Wing 0 with no pilot. That's 7. You have Wing Gundam LR from the starter deck with the pilot. That is 7. There are a lot of cards that are 7 HP, including Epion 7. If you have Axia with Setsuna, you can go ahead and destroy that unit, and you're using a 4/2 and a pilot to get rid of those cards. So I find like this is a really good trade because how good Setsuna is with this card to really get an uneven trade. Like I said, hitting an Epion can be very crucial. If they just drop the Epion and they started swinging with it, you can go ahead and use this to finish off the Epion. Overall, pretty good. Like I said, even if you don't have the attack with Setsuna, just having the stat line of a 6/4 is pretty solid as well. That can get rid of a lot of units out in the field. And it is like normal Axia. I can see myself bumping this up to 3, but the fact that I really do need more turn 3 plays is probably where I'm going to be at. But I can see myself also arguing about having another Axia instead as well. So those are the 2 1s, 3 2s, and the 4 2s. Now, let's go ahead and start looking into the LRs. So we have here, we run 4 of the starter deck Dynamis. This card is one of the better of the 2 LRs in my personal opinion when it comes to the 2 starter decks. When it comes to the 2 LRs in the starter decks, Axia and Dynamis. I just found like this is the better one currently right now. With this, when you link it with Lock On Stratos, it gives plus 2 AP, and with the pilot in play, it becomes a 5/6. Having that stat line is really good. That means you can beat over a Gundam RX-78 and still recover and get some HP back and still live. This card is really good at taking out weenies on turn. You tend to go after those situational cards, like they drop Gundam, then you can go ahead and drop this to go ahead and take this out. This is a really good card. I've seen sometimes they just leave Gundam in the up position. You can go ahead and attack with this and attack them while the Gundam is active. The fact that it recovers the 2 HP is really good. Is as soon as the unit is destroyed and you take battle damage, after you take the battle damage you're supposed to take, then you recover. So if you take 6, this cannot recover because it's dead. But if you take 5 or less and it had no hit damage, then you can recover whatever 2 HP on top of this. So this card is really nice. I do like this. This, like I said, really strong, really pivotal change. Now they're focusing on hitting that unit and getting that unit out, because there's so many advantages, because you can get rid of weenies and not take any damage because of the recovery of 2 AP. So this can really hurt a lot of decks because of that. Again, you destroy it and then you just recover 2 AP like it never happened. So this card, really, really solid. Next, we're going to be looking into the next LR. Now, I currently only run 3 of this Gundam Axia. Now, in this deck, 3 I feel like is perfect. In a purple and white build, this should be going to 4. This is a really good card. If you're just going based off of stats, because this is a 4 AP, so is this. This is 4 as well. This is a normal one. But yet, granted, this is 3, this is 4. So this will survive on its own. When Gundam drops, this wouldn't. But if you have the pilot in play, that will obviously survive. So the stats being 4 AP, it's okay. But you really want is the effect. When you pair this unit with a pilot, any pilot pretty much, you will mill 2 cards, and if any of those cards are a CB, you will draw 1 card. So it's good to use to just get that extra draw when you need it. You pair it with Setsuna, this becomes again a 7 on attack, which is really nice. If not 6/5, which is also really good. If you have 7 CBs in the grave, and keep in mind bases are considered CBs in the grave, because it actually has a trait in the bottom. And you'll see it on the bottom. I'll show you guys as well. But on the bottom of the card, you'll see that there's traits. Unfortunately, commands and command pilots do not count as CB, so you cannot worry about using that, and they will not count. But if you have 7 in the grave, you can, at the end of your turn, activate one of your rested resources. And if you have multiple of these, you can each one of them out on the field, you'll be able to activate and have 1 extra resource to be able to use. Now, not an extra resource, but just have a resource to use. Now, why do I only have this at 3? The reason I have this at 3 is currently right now, there are maybe 3 that I can think of, 3 action purple cards that I can think of that are pretty decent. You have Look at the Termination, with Iron and Blood, and Arm Intervention. Arm Intervention, really solid. Really solid card. Look at the Termination, destroys a level 2 active or level 4, depending on how many you have in the grave. And then the other one is with Iron and Blood. None of those action cards that are purple currently right now has some sort of way to lower the amount of damage that you are taking from a unit that's battling damage with it, like an Unforeseen. There's nothing like that currently right now for purple. So whenever you use that action card, you're most likely either moving the damage somewhere else so that unit might die, or you're destroying another unit, but you are still going to be taking damage to this unit. At least, a good chunk of damage. So this being a 3 is probably just right for me. I can see people arguing about having it at 4. I just find when you get to 4, when you have 4, it can be very clunky. And I really just care for the draw aspect of it. The actual resource you get is a bonus, but I don't really focusing on much unless I start getting that card in hand. If I have a Look of Determination in hand, if I have Arm Intervention, sure, I start to play around with making sure I have that one resource. But besides that, that is the only reason that draw one is probably the more important thing, because you do need some sort of way to get more resources in your hands. So right now, currently myself, I like this at 3, but I could definitely see why people might want this to be at 4. Now next, we are running 2 of the GDO3 Dynamis 5-3. That is a 4-4 breacher. Being a 4-4 breacher is really nice. It breaches for 3 that can break an EX base just on attack. If you get to rank, if you go to 5, that means you've been trying to control the board, and now you can actually start going in. So this is pretty decent, the fact that it is a breacher. You put this on lock on. Now you can target any 5 or lower units, which can be really solid depending on what you're going against. You can go after the L if it's in the upright position. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to this. The fact that it is a 3 on turn 5 also gives you a chance to drop any of your other 2s if you needed to. If you need to go wide and you don't have the pilot, having the space to be able to drop your 2s is also really solid. That is also another reason why I kind of want to bump this up a little bit, so that you can drop multiple cards if you need to go wide as your opponent player is also going wide. You try to match them a little bit when it comes to expanding their field. So I have 2 of these currently right now in my my deck. Next, I am using GN Armor Type E. This is the 6-4 blocker that came out from the new GDO3 set. It is a 5-4 blocker, not situational, just a blocker. With this, it also has a link. Any CB link trait, so which is really awesome. You can put any pilot on this and it becomes live. So if you need to rush and attack, you have that option for yourself. If not, you can put a pilot on it and then you're good to go. If you put lock on Stratos, this becomes a 6-6 blocker. If you put Setsuna on there, now you got an 8 blocker on attack. So it becomes really good to have, especially because this is a 6-4. Again, on turn 6, you can drop your 2s as well. This is why I like going first, because the way the ratios are. Now on turn 6, I can drop this and maybe another blocker or an Axia or something else. That can be very helpful as well. Gives you some time to resource, or that 2 resources, the extra one could be a base, and it could be the other one could be Arm Intervention. So there could be some things with that. Having that space is actually really good. But because this is a 6, this is right before Trans Am would actually drop off, which is really nice. So having this blocker out on the field to prepare yourself for the Trans Am drop and be able to protect it was also really good as well. So I do like this a lot. I don't know about going up more than 2 currently right now. In a purple white build, I can understand that. But right now in the purple green build, I don't see myself bumping this up a little bit more. You really want to focus on being a good mid-range early and end if you can, especially since this is a level 6. This will not be affected by Wing Gundam when it drops, or Wing 0 when it drops, so it won't be hit by that nuke. So that's also really good. And if you keep in mind, some of these CBs are +4s, so they will survive a Wing Gundam. So that's also really good as well to keep in mind. If you are in an area that predominantly has Wing, like I do, that is also really good to have as well. And then lastly, for the units to round them out, is 3 Trans Ams. This card is really good. If you saw my duels before, I had Wing 0 before this came out, and now that it's officially out, we are trying them out, and it is a good card. What I've noticed a lot while playing with this specific build is a lot of times you are coming back. And when you're coming back, having that suppression can really put you back into the game and get you in the right situation. And if you have the requirement for the destruction, if you have 10 CB cards in the grave, when this destroys any shield area, including base and or EX base, okay, so if you happen to get to turn 7, you haven't even cracked their base, if you hit a shield area card, shields or base, this will destroy the lowest HP on your opponent's team. So sometimes when there's a field that I have besides Trans Am, I try to destroy other units, even if I have to, so that I can get rid of a problem card. This can be very good if you know how to, dish out the damage correctly, so that when you use your suppression and use its effect to destroy, you can get rid of the monster or the unit that's on the field. When it comes to Wing Zero, perfect time. This drops before Wing Zero. And when Wing Zero does drop, they are on turn 8. And a lot of times they do drop on turn 8. And they waste all 8 resources. And when they do, sometimes that is the only monster that is on the field, the only unit. And when it is, with this coming out with the pilot, they don't see it coming. They can go ahead and attack, blow up the shield, and get rid of that Wing Zero. So this card can be really nasty. You just need to know how to play it and when to play it. You want to always keep in mind how many CBs you have in the grave, because if you drop this and you think you're good to go and you don't have it, that can change your outlook when you're actually playing. So you just want to make sure you're counting through how many CBs. Every time I'm done with a turn, how many CBs? When I'm done with a turn, how many CBs? I get to Exia, how many CBs? Very important, because when you get to Trans Am, you want to be able to take off and not worry about not having enough when it comes to it. I find 3 is probably, for me, the sweet spot. I can see people arguing about having 2 in the deck. I could definitely see that happening. Trans Am is a very powerful card. I don't think that you would want to do it and have a 4th one. I do have a 4th one, but I don't think it's worth having the 4th one in this build unless there's a way to consistently keep units on the field and also things in the graveyard and have resources in your hand. Then sure, I can see why having 4 is good. In a purple build, I can see maybe a purple-white build. I can see maybe, because you have blockers and things of that sort, maybe, overflows and stuff like that, getting draw cards in your hand. But when it comes to that, Trans Am at 3 is probably the best. You can run 2 if you want to. I've seen that. You have Tactical Visionary to search out for it. But for me personally, I find 3 just the sweet spot. Sometimes I do get 2 in my hand and it does suck. But I can only imagine if I had 4 in the deck, how often I will be clogged up. So 3 I find is just perfect for myself and the way I play with this deck. All right, now we're going to go after the pilots. To me, the best pilot. Lock On, to me, is probably the best pilot of all the CBs currently right now. This Lock On, it gives you Wing Gundam LR effect. When you pair this unit with any unit, it's not Link, it's just a pair with any unit. You can pair this with Trans Am. If you have Trans Am already on the field, next turn, pair this with Trans Am. You'll be able to attack a level 7 or lower upright unit. So having that in play is really, really good. The fact that it gives you 2 HP also keeps a lot of your units by 1 extra AP, makes a difference in a lot of times when you're fighting. This to me is probably the best pilot to have right now. That's number 1. To me, the next one, and I run it at 4, is Setsuna. The fact that Setsuna, you have normal Axia, you have LR Axia, and then you have Trans Am. This card, very important. It is the only 2-1 that is currently out right now. When paired with another unit, when you attack, this +1 you get is really nice. If you pair this with a Dynamis, normal 3-2, or the Virtue, this can make you crack a 6 HP base on attack. So it becomes really nice to have that those attacks to destroy a base when you need to. If not, like I said, you can put it on GN armor if you needed to. But a lot of times I'm using it most likely for Axia or the normal Axia if I really need to get rid of something right away without having to burn the LR Axia. But this card, really, really solid. The fact that you can make it a 3 attack is also really, really good as well. Next, I'm running 2 of the Arde. I find 2 just right. Hallelujah is really situational in my personal opinion. There's times where I have played with Alleluia and Krills, and I've noticed that I don't have a link in play, so that means I cannot benefit from the 3 AP or less. A lot of Krills effect, you need to have it linked, so it doesn't really pair very well. There's times where you need to pair a pilot with a unit that is not the right pilot to link with, but you need to get rid of something on the field, and you go ahead and do it. I mean, you could think about Ale, and you put any pilot with Ale sometimes just to get that bounce effect, and that's exactly what you do here as well. There's times where you don't get that effect going, and not having like Alleluia's effect can be really hurting you. That's why currently right now I don't have them in a build. I personally think that when Hallelujah comes out, you could potentially see people run a total Alleluia and Hallelujah build together, because then you have technically 2 pilots, which you have 8 copies of, that you can put in any of those Creoles, which is really nice. So I think that is really good. But currently right now, I'm doing 2 Ardes just for the draw. The draw can be really good when you know you're going to have a very troublesome unit on the field. Let's say, for instance, Gundam Axia. The fact that you can get that 1 resource to turn active. The fact that you can on pair mill it to get mill 2, and if you mill the CB, you draw a card. If you don't have Axia, this is fine. Cessina, this is fine. You get that effect going. You don't need to have it linked to do this effect. And if you do attack and they decide to get rid of it on your opponent's turn, then you can get that draw effect going. So depending on what is out on the field, I tend to use this as a way to, they're going to get rid of this as quick as possible. Let me pair Arde with it so I can get a draw on it. So it's kind of like a free draw in a sense, but you just have to be careful that you don't obviously destroy it on your opponent's turn. On your turn. It does suck that this is not a 3-1 pilot, because there's so many times where I have had these 2 both in my hand, and on turn 3 drop this, but I can't put the pilot behind it so I can start the block. So it kind of does suck that this is a 4. There's nothing we can do about that, unfortunately. I kind of wish that this was a level 3 pilot 1-1 with the draw effect. And that is it when it comes to the pilots. Now let's take a look at the commands. I'm using 4, not 3, not 2, 4. I prefer to have this card sometimes, even mid to late game, when you can't find your pilots for some reason or another. This can help you. Or if you have your pilots, but you can't find the unit for some reason, you have this here. Not just for the turn 1 play that you happen to have it, but even for mid-game where you're digging for your resources, you're looking for your cards. You have this to look for your units. You have this to look for your pilots. Can really help you get your combo pieces for what you need. It does suck to see the other 2 go into the bottom of the deck. There's times where I've seen 2 pilots and 1 unit, and I really do need the 1 unit. Or I've seen 2 of the same units, and that is the only time I'm ever going to have that. So I've seen, 2 of the Dynamists, the Breachers, or 2 of something else, and it's like, now you're only going to have 1 or 2 left in your deck because the other 2 just went to the bottom. So it does suck that happens. But searching, I think it's just too good not to have it at 4. Very important. Again, you can have it on turn 1 if you wanted to. Sometimes it's good to have this on turn 1. Sometimes if you don't have your early game, like your 2-1s and your 3-2s, even though you have this on turn 1, you might have to skip this so you can get your early game, because it's better to make sure you have for sure units to drop versus a potential you might be able to dig into something. So this is really good to have on your turn 1, but it's even better to have this and your early game on your turn 1 to help you out. So 4 of those. Then we are running 3 arm interventions. I think 3 is perfect. I ran 2, and there has been times, if you see my duels, I had one duel where 2 of these were in the shield area. They both popped. I draw 2, but I didn't have any more left. So having 3 almost guarantees me that at least I'm going to potentially see one in my duel, potentially see one. Even if there's two in the reshield, at least I can at least potentially see one. So having a 3 has been better. 4 I can see being a little cloggy. Again, when it comes to like the purple white version of the CBs, I can see you bumping us to 4, but I currently like this at 3. The fact that on burst you do draw one, which is nice. That gives you a little bit more resources. You have your Arde to give you a little bit more resources, that draw. You have your Axia LR to give you that draw. So just having another draw is nice on burst. Is not just a waste when they hit the shield. But when you have this is really good. This is almost considered like another blocker. So if you have a blocker already out, you can block one attack. If it survives, then you can use arm intervention to make them attack to that unit again. So you can get almost double uses out of that. So 3 armed interventions for me and just my personal build, just to be a little bit more on the safe side, to make sure you at least have it. Next, I have to show both of these cards to make sure you understand, is 3 look at the terminations and also 1 fatal strike. I've been testing out the ratios when it comes to this. I have noticed on my blue-purple build, blue-purple specifically, fatal strike, just too good. Barbados 3-2, they're going to get their draw, they're going to get their resources. This is really good to stop that. This really good for aggro. The fact that you can burst and hit a level 2 immediately with no situation, it just has to be active. Perfect. Keep in mind, it does have to be active. It has to be in action. So if there's one monster and it is, or one unit and it is a level 2 or lower, and they attack, you cannot use this to destroy their rested unit, because now they already declared an attack. So this has to be active. I use this like close combat, end of turn, use it to pop a little weenie. But I found myself a lot of times, I do a lot of times have 10 in the grave, quite often. And when I see this pop off, this is really, really good. So I've been thinking about running 2 fatal strikes. I'm not too sure if I want to or not. I kind of like the look of the termination just because the burst of having a 2 is really good. This, for blockers, is really good because it can hit striker packs, because keep in mind it's level 2 or lower. So striker packs tokens are considered 0. So this can hit the striker packs. This can hit Zawarts, which is really good. When you get to mid to late game, when you have 10, then this can hit, launcher strike and lift whiffs and Rick Diaz's and things of that sort. So this can be really good as well. Just you have to wait a little bit for that to go off. But like I said, can still be really, really solid. The fact that can destroy Gundam RX-78 and this can't is crazy. The burst on this, that 1 ping, has worked for a couple times for me when there was 1 damage left. But I've noticed more and more, this is better for, like I said, if you're going against blockers that only use Rick Diaz's and lift whiffs, then this is really good. If you go against aggro, this is really good. This can hit, obviously, your Roselles and things of that sort, and your Barbados first forms. This can hit all the little weenies until you get to mid to late game when you have 10 in the grave, and then you can hit 4 or lower. So really good. Again, even with, like, let's say they bring out a Corsica token, that pops. I like that this is a burst that you can still use as action effect. Granted, it's situational, so if they already attacked and the last unit attacks and hits this, that kind of sucks. But that's just something you have to kind of deal with when it comes to it. So that is the ratio for that. And the last one, obviously, is 4 of the Palameos. Now, when it comes to this base, I've been changing the ratios a bit. I've been doing 3 and 1 desert base with a level 6 green base. But I've noticed more and more, yes, this is a CB. It has CB at the bottom here specifically. It is a CB card, so when this is in the grave, it counts towards your 10 that you need, or 7, depending on what you're looking for. I just find that this is more consistent and more easier for that. So I went ahead and got my purchase of my 4th one to come in. I think 4 is the best way to go. I can see doing 3 and then 2. I can see, people doing the desert base. But for me, in the way I've been playing, I've been noticing I like the 4 just to be a little bit more consistent and having my CBs in the grave. All right. A long video, but let's now talk about things I'm going to be changing in this deck. for version 3.0. So with that being said, things I'm going to be looking to when I went against purple blue, I noticed I didn't have a lot of early game. So things that I will probably potentially change in this deck will be potentially this might be a look of determination, because I do like the getting rid of the weenies when I need to. I have it. I may look into putting another fatal strike, but I've found myself liking the look of determination a little bit better. So one of those would be changed out. One of the Dynamis, and potentially one of the 2-1s. Now, these two, both the Dynamis, the 5-3, and the 2-1 may be changed out for the normal Dynamis, just to have another 3-2 on the field early on, because 3s are very important. Turn 3, turn 4, and turn 5 are very, very important when it comes against aggro. And if I only have 5, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So I'm looking into potentially raising this up, increasing this up. I might start off with just putting one extra Dynamis or maybe one extra Axia. We'll see how that goes in my deck testing. But currently right now, I will be changing at least 3 cards right now and seeing how it is. Looking at the other cards that are potentially out there that you can use. We already talked about look of determination. I don't see myself using a 4th Trans Am at all. Just in my playstyle, just not having 4. I think 4 can be very, very cloggy. The next one is something that I originally liked, but then I started to not like it. It is the 5-4 Virtue that is being dubbed as the Touch of Death. This is a unit that has 3/3 stat line that can support 2. So if you need a supporter, support 2 can be used. You can do some battle tricks and force it to be sideways without attacking, so that they have to attack if their base is up. This unit, but this is what I don't like about it. The fact that you need to have 5 in the grave is possible. Easy peasy. But the fact that you need to always have a CB pilot on the field can be somewhat situational. There's times where I put a pilot on a blocker just to give it a little bit more HP. If that blocker is gone and this is out, this loses its effect. I don't like it as much. Now, the effect is overall pretty decent, right? It destroys any level 5 or lower that does battle to it. So even though it will die, if it's level 5 or lower and does battle damage to it, it will destroy itself. If it has a CB, or destroy that unit. If it has a CB pilot and have 5 in the grave, you can destroy level 5. But then when I started really rationalizing with myself is, what is level 5 that I currently cannot handle with myself? Think about level 5, you think about Ale. Ale Strike can be really annoying, but like I said, you can buff up a lot of your units, even with Setsuna, to make it really, really strong to get rid of those units. I find myself like not needing him because I can use other units to make it strong enough to take out a level 5. I don't see myself really hurting for a level 5 that I can't get rid of myself. Yes, if they have an Ale with maybe Unforeseen, they keep it up alive. Okay, that's a different story. But besides that, there's rarely a time that anything else would occur that I would need this to be in the deck. So I find it very situational for my specific playstyle. If you see my long video, I made a 46-minute video on duels. I got a first chance to play with this card in my GDO3 matchups for funds. And as I was playing it, I noticed that effect, and I did not like it. I misplayed, and I said, no, I'm not really liking the situational play on this. So I don't like that card right now. I think if you build around it, it can be decent, and a purple-white build can be pretty decent. Next one that I had before and I took out is the normal Gundam Virtue. This is a stronger Vazel. Now this is a 5/3, so by having those stat lines, by being a 5/3, that leaves you on turn 5 to drop a 2-body unit. Like, if you want to go wide, you have your Axias, your Dynamis, your Virtues, and or what you can also do is be able to put a base out and potentially search or put a pilot down. You get a lot of plays by having it being a 5/3. Level 5 cost 3, but the stat line is a 5/4 attacker, a very, very strong unit. If you pair this with Arde, it becomes a 6/5. Again, really, really strong, can get rid of a lot of units. If you pair this with Cessna, can be really, really strong, can get rid of anything that's 8 or lower. Really, really strong if you do that. So I thought about putting this back in the deck, but there's not a lot of times where I would use this over like the Breacher. I like the Breacher specifically just because even if I destroy the unit, at least I get to attack your shield. Really, really good card. In a purple-white build, good. In this build, I don't know if I like it right now. I might do some more testing to try this out again. I had it at 2, and I took it out so that when the Breacher came out, and I just like it way better with the Breacher. Next is the Creos package. Now, I have them. Like I said, I find them very situational. It has to be linked. Can't use this effect without being linked. Hallelujah. To get the effect to not take any damage from 3 AP or less, you got to have a CB link in play. If you run this package, specifically these two, if you run this package, this can be really good for yourself. If you run it. If you don't run this, it can be very situational. Like I said, there's times where I don't have the right pilot and I can't get a benefit of Hallelujah, unfortunately. Now, this you can gain the benefit because it just needs a CB pilot. This is just like the Virtue. So you could potentially put this in there. You can use this. I can potentially probably put this instead of Dynamis, and then you get the extra effect that on your turn, technically this would be a 4/3 on your turn. That can be also really good as well. So that I can see plays for that as well. But I don't want situational cards in my hand. I kind of want flat stats and let my other cards do the talking. I think personally that I think Hallelujah and all the Creos and potentially Hallelujah can be good in their own deck, because then you can, like I mentioned before, you can now have the 2 pilots and 4 copies of each, so you can have 8 of them to pretty much make your own deck. And I can see that actually happening depending on what they decide to do. There's rumors that you might have a red Hallelujah, and if you do, then great, then you're doing green-red already. So this specific package, I like it, but it's just situational. And there's times, like I said, where you just don't get the right pilot and you can't gain the benefit of the not taking any damage if it's less than 3 AP, and the hitting the 1 ping is decent because it's level 3 or lower, and so this is good for aggro and getting rid of like Corsica Leo tokens. But the fact that it's level 3 kind of sucks. I kind of wish that this was level 5 or lower. It hits everything for 1. I know that sounds a little bit more broken or more busted, but it makes it where it's a little bit more worth, because then you can hit more targets than just level 3s. Once you pass level 3s, this doesn't do anything for you. So this is more, like I said, very situational, and I just right now currently don't like the way in my local area is mostly wing blockers, freedom blockers, red, white, and yes, there's some aggro, but not as much, which is why when I do see aggro players, I want to play against this so I can try to get better and figure out my ratios a little bit better and fine tune it a little bit. But those are some of the cards I tried and did not like, or I tried and I like, and things I might change around when it comes to the actual build. Overall, that is my CB deck 2.0. You got a glimpse of what I'm going to be doing for my 3.0 a little bit, just changing my ratios a little bit and adding certain cards just so that I can deal with potentially aggro in the matches. But that is pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. This video is going to be a little bit longer. I wanted to kind of explain my deck. The deck profiles, this deck profile is showing a lot of the duels that I currently have already done. And now we're going to be looking into doing our 3.0, and we're going to be getting some more duels when it comes to it. I do plan to do like an archetype breakdown on other cards that are not here, that I didn't talk about, that are situational, that are good and just not in the deck currently right now. But that is pretty much it. If you happen to enjoy this, if you like this deck profile, if you like Celestial Beings, please hit the like button. Share this with other people who are interested in making a deck like this. I personally think that this deck is pretty darn solid. Like I said, in my locals recently, the one loss I got was against it was a Wing Zero, and the Wing Zero, again, the last hit, it was Transam suppress the last 2 cards. It was a base. I was able to destroy the base with the other link in play, but I couldn't finish him off. So that was the end up. That was the cider factor right there for you. But overall, really, really solid. I thought that this was a really good build that can be strong. It is not tier 0, but with more support can be really, really strong. As we start seeing blue-purple, it took a couple sets before now blue-purple is really, really good, which is why I still have my blue-purple build, and I think it's fun, and I changed it up a little bit as well. So this might take some time for it to get a little bit better, but overall, I do feel confident in this deck. Would I take it to new type? I would take it. I don't see why I wouldn't. If I wanted to try a rogue deck, something that is not Wing Zero or blue purple or anything like that, I think this deck can do pretty good. I don't know if it'll win. I'd be curious to see anyone who wins with this deck and what kind of playlist deck profile they have for it. I've seen people play around with Wing Zero, Zaku 2s, the purple pilot that becomes a blocker. I've seen people do the purple pilot that, when paired with a purple unit that pairs with a purple pilot, destroys a level 2 or lower on the field just from pairing. I've seen a lot of those things. I think a lot of those are pretty interesting, really interesting tech. But I want to kind of keep it to the core of what I have just with CB specifically. And I think overall it's pretty decent. I like it. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this deck. Like I said, recently went 3-1 and 2-1. So I just need to be able to fine tune so that I can deal with the aggro. I have yet to really fight aggro in locals, but when I do go against it, I want to be able to be prepared for that. But that's pretty much it. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.